Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye. I just scared my co-host Jeff with my voice.
Yeah, that's right. What a booming voice. You came in talking so quiet before the podcast rolled, and then all of a sudden you're a Showtime performer, people. Okay.
Oh, he's ready.
We're a positive film podcast. Anytime we say anything negative about a film, you're going to hear the sound.
Oh,
that means we have to drink. We're bending the rules a little bit because I might have COVID and Dave might have COVID or something else.
Yeah.
We definitely have something. So we might be drinking seltzer.
I have like the spawn of Satan trying to wrestle out of my chest or something at the moment. So yeah.
We'll just say anytime you hear that sound, Dave and I might have to pee in the middle of the night from drinking so much seltzer.
You know what?
Well, I thought I can't drink beer, so I've got this like glass here with just a little touch of whiskey.
This is for Omicron.
Very opaque. Yeah,
this is for Omicron. Whatever fucking bug Dave has, right? We're not even sure what the fuck he's got, but fuck that shit. Fuck those things. Omicron, take a drink and sit down, you bitch.
We're trying to hit our F-bomb quota early here in the podcast. Dave, why don't you bring us home here?
Well, I would say pour yourselves a glass and put on your tinfoil hats. And I'm speaking directly to my Auntie Deb in Australia when I say put on your tinfoil hat because she loves a good conspiracy.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about...
All right, we're going to talk about Don't Look Up, people. This is the Adam McKay, the Adam McKay movie that came out around Christmas Day. Was it on Christmas? It might have been on Christmas Day. Only on Netflix. I believe it's Leonardo DiCaprio's first straight-to-streaming movie. Not that it matters. It's probably true for other people as well in this ridiculous cast. Adam McKay, you probably know, worked with Will Ferrell on comedies like Anchorman. And of course, he won an Oscar for writing The Big Short. He also did Vice recently. And he did this movie, calling it a trilogy in the same vein as those two movies. We'll see if he can hang on to it. The cast is ridiculous. You got Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Cate Blanchett, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance, Tyler Perry, Timothée Chalamet, Ron Perlman, Ariana Grande, Kid Cudi, Himesh Patel, etc., etc. We're going to talk about it. We're going to try to keep it positive.
It has one of those large, famous ensemble casts that usually you think the movie's going to suck because they've like overbalanced with the stars to try and bring people in.
Yeah. The real winner on this film, as always, is the scheduler. Whoever was able to schedule them all.
Oh my god, the assistant director and the line producer. Hello, give it up.
Working with all their assistants and everything. Anyway, we're going to talk about it in a second. And just as a reminder, if you've not listened to our podcast, we try to keep it spoiler free for about 5 to 10 minutes or so you can get our initial takes. You can see whether or not we liked it, would we recommend it, if you're interested in possibly seeing it and you have not seen the film and you don't want to spoil, if it's even possible to spoil this movie. I think it's pretty you think you know what's going to happen.
You can spoil it. There is a way to spoil it.
All right. Well, we'll get to that in 1 second, people. But first, we got to shout our people out. John, take it away.
We have a beer sponsor, and his name is Carlos Barroso. He has a new handle on Instagram. If you've listened to the past few episodes, you've heard it. It is still C. Barroso, but now it's cbarroso.beer. That's CBARROZOBAR.BEER. Get on there. Come on, follow that guy. He's got a lot of cool info on there. The man is a beer master. He's not just a beer maker. Fun videos, fun info. Follow that man. Give him some likes. Give him some loves. And as always, the music you hear on this episode and every single episode is provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. If you're digging the music, head on over to soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist, and you can download all that music for free. That's right, folks. My co-hosts are sick. God, look at these guys. Like, oh, yeah. You guys okay? Are you feeling all right? Whenever you... Oh, gee, oh my God.
Yeah, put your mask on.
All right. We could not be more excited to talk about this because last week, let's just acknowledge it, you guys. We took a week off. Jeff took a couple weeks off. We're glad we missed him on the Spider-Man app, but now he's back. We took last week off, which would have been our Matrix Resurrections episode. So if you're a big fan, feel free to write in and make us watch that because I don't think any of us have seen it yet.
I have seen it, and
that's
pretty much why we pulled the episode because it was for safety. No one should be that drunk.
Wow, no one should be that drunk. I mean, I have heard tell. I'm not going to say anything negative until I watch it, but yeah. So maybe we will watch that if anyone wants to really try to pump us up and talk about it. I'm sure it'll come up tonight as all three of us are about to co-host on the Matt and Mark movie show. That's right, folks. We are going to be really toasty on that one because we're going to talk about this movie, drink about this movie, and then go right onto their show and probably just keep doing the same shit. So follow that if you haven't given them a follow yet. Yeah, you guys, let's set it up. Let's keep going. Adam McKay, what we were just basically gently setting this movie up. But for anyone who hasn't seen this on Netflix yet, Jeff, why don't you go with the blurb? Why don't you tell us what the little plot sum is?
This is what it's the plot sum. Holy shit. Okay. There is a different intro that we're used to here on the
pod. Plums.
Oh, way nice. Down deep. Good, dude. Yeah. That's what is that? Eastbound. Eastbound, yeah. Oh my God. I feel down on my pumps. No, let the boy watch. The boy must learn.
2-for-1 plum special.
It's so stupid. Okay, sorry. It's so stupid. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so the short blurb for Don't Look Up, written and directed by Adam McKay. He has a story credit from one of his friends. 2 low-level astronomers, Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, must go on a... Dave, fuck, man. All right.
It's not going to show up in the recording. I muted the microphone. You just got it.
I'm going to buzz you guys every time you cough. How about that?
I forgot Dave has that. Dave's so good with this technology, you didn't even notice that he coughed. Okay.
Oh my God. I still buzzed him, folks. Dave. That was for the cough.
From now on, I'll ignore the coughs. Okay. 2 low-level astronomers, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. So we are going to start with our initial reactions. John, you said recently in confidence to us secretly that you thought this was the perfect New Year's Eve movie. You saw this on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2021. Some people had a good 2021 year. Earth did not. So you said this is a really good New Year's Eve movie for 2021 going into 2022. Would you like to go first in our initial takeaway?
Absolutely. I stand by it. I think Dave echoed or liked it when I texted you guys that because this was so cathartic. The best thing about this kind of story too is that, Roland Emmerich, maker of Independence Day, Meteor Storm, Day After Tomorrow, he's got the Moon movie with Patrick Wilson that's coming out soon. So we have seen some really fun end of days movies. You can have fun with those movies, but Adam McKay made a dramedy about it. Like, it's a very different tone than the kinds of apocalypse movies we're used to seeing. And I got to listen. There's a wonderful, I'll shout this out. Barry Jenkins interviewed Adam McKay on the DGA, the Directors Guild of America podcast. It's a pretty sweet interview if you want to listen to that. And you can just tell that Adam was at, like so many of us, was at his wit's end by the end of the past era of leadership in this country. So they technically were scouting locations for this film right at the beginning of 2020 or 2020. So like they were just about to get going on this thing. But here comes COVID-19. They basically put the movie away for like several months at the beginning of quarantine. And it basically gave him even more fuel to the fire. But he was already in the mental place of, look, for the past 5, 10, 15, 30 years, however you sit politically, it doesn't really matter. We have been in an absurd satire in this society. We've just been living in one already. And I think he gave us permission to finally feel upset, absurd, and to laugh at it. All in one. I think this movie really does give you some levity where there needs to be levity.
It's definitely a full package. There's the absurdity.
It really is. I've never seen a movie that felt like this. There are sci-fi elements to this. So we're going to get into all the performances. The story is what you think it is. It's just extremely well told and fleshed out in an almost frightening way how possibly accurate it could be. But ultimately, I'm jealous of Adam McKay. Family and friends have already heard me say this. Sorry to repeat, folks. And I'm sure everyone is already thinking this, but God damn it, I am jealous this man got to make this movie. I can't imagine how cathartic it felt to make this movie. You feel like the world is just going up in fucking flames around you and no one knows what up from down, right from left, all the bullshit. And yet he's like, fuck it, I'm going to blow the whole world up. I'm just going to, and we're going to be laughing about it because we all kind of know that it would likely come to this and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's truly absurd. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on Netflix. I promise you can sit down and watch this movie by yourself or with a group, your family, and you'll probably all find some enjoyment in it. I don't even think you need to sit on the left to laugh at the absurdity of this. Adam McKay definitely has a lot of political views, but I think you could probably still laugh and enjoy this no matter where you sit with your ideology. So I definitely recommend giving it a shot. Dave, what'd you think, dude?
I mean, a lot of people are calling this very divisive. And I think it's divisive because of the political overtones. They do take some political shots and stuff like that. The thing I love the most about this, though, is that almost no one is playing this for comedy. Like, everyone is playing it as a particular character, and not all of them are funny. So you're getting just that little bit of, like, heartfelt performance from some fucking phenomenal actors, but then you're also getting other people who are, you know, there's a little bit of comedy. I mean, Jonah Hill, obviously, is throwing it in there. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this because they walk you down the path. And even like notable climate scientists have come out and said that this is exactly what it's like trying to deal with the government. And that's the parallel that everyone's taking offense to. It's like, well, you know, they're paralleling it to the climate debate. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's an exact allegory for the climate debate. It doesn't pull punches either. And it basically points out how stupid humanity is being right now. But in an entertainment way.
We are living out an extinction level event.
And all I can say is rich people and their followers are mad as hell about it.
We're mad as hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a network moment.
There was a network moment in there, and
kind of a couple,
and it was well done as well. Like,
that was good. Yeah,
it's like, okay, we're not going to do this for comedy. Play this one serious. And every time, like, you tell DiCaprio to do that, he can do that.
Mm-hmm. Like he has Peter Finch moments.
He was almost the straight man all the way through.
And Dave, you're right. He said, McKay has said multiple times now, if anyone is listening to him chit chat about this or write about this, that it started as a straight up metaphor for climate change. There was nothing else about it. It was going to have some other political undertones to it, as all of his work does, but he really wanted to try to make, you know, an absurd allegory about climate change. And he just got handed all this other shit. So there are moments in here that are scarily reminiscent of January 6th. I don't know whether you've seen... There are moments of like the Trump era politics and the way things got handled with social media and decision-making and the lore that Meryl Streep's president takes on in the eyes of her followers. We'll get into it for sure. What were you saying, Dave?
I don't know whether you've seen, they've actually partnered with countusin.com. And we'll probably end up putting the website in the banner as well, because it's they're basically, the movie's partnering with them to promote climate change awareness and outline what you can do from where you are with your community to help. So like, I'm a big supporter of that. I like the climate, keeps me alive. I've had a week where I had trouble breathing. I'd like to not fucking do that again.
Jeff, what do you think, man? So when did you watch it? When did you watch it, by the way?
I watched it the day after Christmas, December 26th.
Boxing Day, as they say over across the pond.
As they say, I watched it the day after Christmas. Okay, so I feel like, you know, in Gladiator, when Commodus like sticks his hand out and he has his thumb like going to the side, and he has to decide. He's kind of like waiting for the crowd to decide, like, is he going to let the gladiator live, or is he going to make the other gladiator put him to death? And then, of course, in the movie, Russell Crowe refuses to put the, you know, that's part of the whole thing. He's like, I'm not going to put him to death. And Commodus is like, motherfucker disobeyed me. I feel like I'm Commodus with my thumb out to the side, and I'm like,
had some issues.
Am I going to go up? Am I going to go down? What am I going to do? And I think, okay, if this is an initial reactions takeaway from the film, initial reaction takeaway, which is what the segment is, I would go thumbs up, and I would say, okay, thumbs up. I rewatched the movie today in advance of this podcast, and I if it was a second take reaction, this segment here, I would probably go thumbs down.
Okay.
So good. Well, we have rewatchability.
Hey man, we have some. I wanted to ask that question specifically. Now that one of us has actually rewatched it, I'm curious to talk about it, because I did want to talk to y'all about the possibility of rewatching this, because some things did seem to land for me in a very entertaining way, and a lot of times for me, entertaining ways don't necessarily sustain rewatchabilities in the way that I have seen The Big Short several times.
What were you entertained by? Because I didn't find this movie funny.
Well, you know what? How about we? Can we tell Hey, viewers who haven't seen it yet, go fuck yourselves and come back after the spoilers.
We get it.
Also, just before they go, when you do watch it right to the end of the credits. There are 2 after credit scenes.
Yes. We out here.
And they're worth it.
We out here.
That is funny. You're right. That was actually really funny when Mark Rylance is like, "Don't pet them."
Oh my god!
Right,
I believe
100%.
It's called a So spoilers. Here we come. Here's your chance. Sign off if you don't want to be spoiled.
I have a lot of friends that wanted it to be funny and they didn't think it was funny, so therefore they thought it was boring. So go in knowing that it might not be as funny as The Big Short.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it's definitely not as funny as The Big Short. Go ahead. Bye. See you guys. Spoiler
Bye
time.
now.
Spoilers.
No, I'm happy for you guys to prop this movie up, but this isn't. I completely disagree with the notion that this is divisive because of the political stuff. This is divisive because it's a satire that isn't filmed like a satire. It's filmed very straightforward. And I'm glad you guys noticed. Dave noticed. They're like, oh. They weren't playing it for comedy. I really feel like Adam McKay wanted it to be funny. I feel like the quick edits at the end of scenes, there were a couple lines at the end of scenes that were almost like the Judd Apatow, like just do something funny. I feel like Jonah Hill was like had the burden of trying to keep the comedy in this movie going, and he really did succeed a couple times. The thing with the bag over Jennifer Lawrence's head, he's like, the CIA doesn't do that. I told him to do that.
That's so funny. All right,
I thought that was funny, but I really felt like they were. Because of the underlying thing. And to your point, John, I think they took on too many issues. I think they should have stuck to climate change. I'm sorry. I think Leo and Jennifer Lawrence were our surrogates. But like every good movie, they have their own stories, and their stories just fizzled for me. Like all of a sudden, it was like, okay, so Leo's a surrogate for Fauci, and Jennifer Lawrence, I don't even know what she's a surrogate for. In fact, she doesn't even make sense. She's the one who's famous for telling everybody they're going to die, and then she's working at a gas station. Like the person who knows you're going to die in a month probably shouldn't take a shitty job. Like little things like that are too nitpicky for this here movie podcast. But it's like their little stories just stop mattering anymore because the issue was bigger than their stories, and I feel like it could have been better. I feel like it could have been better if it was funnier. And I'll give you an example in a second. But if it was funnier and if their stories, whether we picked one rather than going back and forth between the two, and I don't know. That's what I think.
Sure.
I don't want to bring the podcast down, but this is a 50 Metascore and it's 56% of Rotten Tomatoes. So a lot of people are iffy about this, even though the cast is amazing. And even though everybody should see this movie, it's a very important movie. I just think it could have been done better.
I think... I'm not surprised, and I'm not going to be surprised that a lot of people feel that way about Adam McKay's work in general. I think sometimes, especially since he's made The Big Short, I think I'm enough of a fan to, I'm not saying I'm going to prop him up, but I'm enough of a fan to enjoy what he does. And I think some people got so wrapped up in the excellent cinematic quality of what the fuck happened in the financial breakdown of 2008 that his movie was it was really helpful for a lot of people to finally approach it. So he had that as a good introduction to his more serious satires. Because even that one has elements of that. I wouldn't call that a straight comedy. It does. No. It also doesn't have as many absurdism tones that this movie does, or even some of Vice has a lot of.
Do you really think this is absurdism? You really think this is absurdist? Because I don't think they went very absurd. Like a comet coming to Earth is very possible to me. Even some of the media elements that are absurd, it's hard to do a satire now because all of those things again very realistically could happen, or they are direct knockoffs of things that did happen. So
I think
again, I'm not missing the absurd.
I think it worked with this. And Dave, I want to know if because you and I, since we both liked it, I'm curious.
Fight for this movie, guys. Fight for this fucking movie.
I'm curious if this worked for you because if I'm being totally honest, I'm a huge fan of Jonah Hill, but I don't think he was in the same movie as everybody else. And I know,
but he was in the right movie. Him and Meryl Streep were in the right movie.
I don't know if he was, to be honest with you. I felt like the thing that started to become clear to me was that I was never going to get a grip on the tone. And I was wrestling with it and I wasn't sure if it was working. And then it started to play into the meta observation of itself that even he is making a movie, which is technically media, about how the media handles this kind of thing. So I started to kind of embrace the chaos of tone and the chaos of cadence with the way they were editing certain things. You're totally right. There were definitely some moments where they clearly wanted it to be funny with the way they cut the end of certain lines and transitions into next scenes. But overall, I kind of gave up at a certain point, and that's when it really started to take on a very unique life for me. And the only times that I felt like I was interrupted by that was when something was supposed to be, quote, funny. Because
I was starting to laugh at things.
I
felt like that was
man.
every single scene. I feel like every scene ended with some weird gimmick, cut, edit. I feel like every scene was like, oh shit, we're supposed to be funny.
I feel like the over-the-top kind of ridiculousness of all of it and the telling of it started to kind of turn into its own absurdity that I appreciated. And I eventually was like laughing more often, but I was usually not laughing at, you're right, they weren't the comedic jokes. I was laughing at the, oh my God, that's exactly what would happen. Yeah. I just felt, kept saying that over and over and over again.
You're laughing, but your eyes aren't smiling.
Exactly. Which is why at the end of this, when Leonardo DiCaprio says, we really did have everything, didn't we? I was not laughing. No. And I loved that he turned that on its head. He made me feel things in the last 20 or 30 minutes of this movie that I didn't know a comedy, a drama, a satire could really make me feel outside of the brilliant one. So I guess I'm not saying it is entirely as brilliant as some of the most effective ones, but the reason, I will at least say this, the reason Network is one of the greatest movies ever made is because of their ability to take satire into another thing by the end of it. The turn is so deep and so unsettling that by the end of that movie, you are scared. You're not laughing anymore at Network. And this movie didn't, there are still comedic moments at the end of this, but similar to Network, it turned on its head and I was emotionally affected. And I was just very impressed overall by that achievement.
I know Dave needs to talk, but you keep saying it turned on its head. It was serious the whole time for me. So I don't know why you're saying like, oh, it turned when it got serious. It was serious from the very beginning when they discovered the comet. And they're like, oh my God. And then they go to the president's office and they're like, we need to tell the president why isn't the president. It was very serious.
Dave, I'll pass this to you after this, but I guess I'll go back to my introduction. When we have seen movies that have a similar scene to the opening scene here. We've seen somebody discover something and be like, oh shit. And, we don't know if it's going to be more of an action comedy or more of a sincere apocalypse movie, but we have seen that scene before. So I still wasn't sure what it was trying to be. I knew he was trying to play into the sincerity of it. I thought that was where his humor was going to live with this one, but I think it was more emotional towards the end than it was at the beginning. So maybe emotional is a better word than sincere or grounded.
When they see the comet, that was the first like emotional thing. When the world stopped and they saw the comet. Okay,
Dave,
my lips are zipped. I got nothing to say. Dave.
No, I think the thing that hit home for me is they showed you something that you've never seen before in this, and it's like. Because I was sitting there and I was like, okay, this is ramping up. It's turning into an action movie. It's turning into like almost like an Armageddon type thing or whatever. Like something's going to happen and they're going to get out of it. Yeah. And they don't. And the world ends.
It's really funny when the missiles come back the first time.
Everybody dies. Really and
I mean, that's not funny.
It's not a Hollywood ending. It's not an ending you get away with. Jesus. It's not the Hollywood ending. It's not what you get away with ever in Hollywood. You can't kill off the entire human race. That's a huge downer. And I think
that was filmed so well too.
I think it was so good because they went through and you're so caught up in the ridiculousness of this cycle, and we're used to a ridiculous cycle now. And you're so caught up in that spiral, and then all of a sudden it settles down. All of a sudden it suddenly becomes about the people who these idiots making decisions in power have nothing to do with. Just the people on the ground who are affected by the decisions they're making on their behalf. Yeah. And it became all about them on the ground level. And those people that die.
Part of me thinks we all knew that that's what the movie was going to be about. So I was hoping that there would be something more surprising than that. I think we all knew that it was going to be about rich people and greed and money and that kind of thing. And
it surprised me that they went like with that ending.
How did they do that ending? How long would it take you working on your own to do all of those different edits of the macro of the comet hitting the globe and rippling out through the atmosphere, and then all of the shots of the shore, and then this neighborhood? And
on my laptop, you look at it, 8 months of render time just for the comet.
That was really good.
That was an epic sequence. That was really good.
It awesome. Really was. And
but they also didn't go over the top with that as well. That was really like pulled back and focused more on the people. It's like you got the initial impact and then it's like, all right, let's focus on the people.
Yeah, and let's shout out, I think his name is Hank Corwin. He was the editor. He's done some films with Terrence Malick. Tree of Life is one of my favorites. He did several of Adam McKay's films before this. Definitely a big legendary kind of Natural Born Killers. Oh yeah, I forgot that was his new world. Nixon. Anyway, he's been working with Adam McKay for a while, and I think one thing that I have a friend, I won't say who they are, not a friend, but a person I know close who saw one of his movies recently for the first time, an Adam McKay film.
Well, now they know you're not friends.
Now we know.
They're not just friends, they're a person.
They're a person. I understand stylistically, sure. I understand stylistically why just the telling could turn some people off. The actual storytelling with the style of editing, cadence, and the kind of in-between place that a lot of his performances in his movies sit. Some of them are dead fucking serious, like Christian Bale as Dick Cheney. And sometimes they're in the same movie with a Jonah Hill in this movie, and it doesn't feel like it's necessarily in the exact same world. I could see how that bothers some people. And just the writing in general, I could see, because Adam McKay writes all these things, and by writing them, he writes a screenplay, and then he sits, as he does with all of his movies, he always has a god mic, and he's always prepared to feed actors lines to try to mix up some things and get improv going. So there's also this, improvisational element to the way his stories are told that sometimes feels like it's kind of rescued by editing. And I could see how some of those things really just turn some people off. None of these things watch like typical movies. Again, as soon as I allow myself to get past that, I usually have a good time. But I guess I'm going to make room for the fact that I wasn't expecting. If you didn't like The Big Short or Vice, you probably won't like this one.
Yeah,
I think I feel good saying that. I don't know if this one is going to win anybody over who has an issue with Adam McKay as a storyteller.
They're talking an Oscar campaign for this.
That's what I'm telling you.
Even Vice was nominated for 8 Oscars. So even Vice was polarizing and is very political. It was during Trump. So, but it's still got 8. So they're gonna go for Oscars for.
I mean, yeah, Netflix is gonna go for Oscars just for the sake of Oscars.
Do they have money to spend? Do you think?
Yeah, right.
I mean, look at that fucking cast.
Does anybody care about the Oscars this year? I can't even name 5 movies that are going to be nominated.
There were some,
you guys.
There were some great
bittersweet about the Oscars.
Instances
Go.
Of like human behavior in there. Like Jeff mentioned earlier about like, why would this girl go and get a supermarket job? And it's kind of like human behavior.
It could be done well. It could be done well.
But like you get up in the morning and you see an absolute disaster
and you just say
on TV and you're like, all right, got to go to work.
No, Adam McKay would have an answer to every single thing I'm saying. I know that for sure. So I could say something like, what I thought the second time I was watching this is I was like, I wish rather than Leo being a surrogate for Dr. Fauci, I kind of wish he was a surrogate for Greta. And I wish they risked it being too crazy, like loud and being too like on the nose the whole time. But like, he kind of deviated it. And I know that there's a reason for it. And I bet you that reason was really touching for you guys, but it just started to lose me a little bit. And I want to get back to the funny shit because there's some really funny stuff. I love Mark Rylance.
I wonder was she the allegory for Greta?
They failed.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a couple moments of it, but like Greta would have not taken her eye off the ball and gone and gotten a job at the gas station. So it's again, these people are surrogates for us, and I wish they had a stronger story for Leo and Jennifer. I mean, not that the things that happened to them were strong. There's an affair and there's all those kinds of things. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. It kind of bored me a little bit. It's too bad. I know, but there's so much good shit in it. There's so much really funny stuff. This is what I think the movie should have been the whole time for me. And I know you guys disagree. There's a scene. The montages were all great, by the way. The montages were great. When like Ariana Grande has a punch in of like, guys, screw the manatees. It's all about the comet. Like things like that were really funny for me. Leo is on this like Sesame Street knockoff for the second time. The first time was pretty funny, but the second time, I wrote down the lines. The second time, this puppet goes, Dr. Mindy, the plan is going to work and we're all going to be okay, right? Dr. Mindy, every single man, woman, and child on this planet is going to die. A girl, a child, I don't like him. He makes me sad. Dr. Mindy, I'm sorry about that. But kids, tell your parents that President Orlean and Isherwell are sociopaths and literally yelling at children on a puppet show. I thought was so fucking funny. And I know you guys like the seriousness of this, but I think if that was more of the movie, and I think the seriousness would have hit harder for me.
One of my personal favorites was Ron Perlman's speech as he's lifting off.
Again, all these things. Like I wish that was
all
the
those
whole
hard-working white people down there.
I'm happy anytime they let Ron Perlman off the chain with comedy, but damn.
Yeah. When Meryl Streep says, God bless all of the honorable people of my party, like, that's funny. But the first scene with the president where they're talking to her, it was like a 10-minute long scene. It was so long, and it was like, we know the audience knows.
All right, look,
there's a lot of really subtle comedy in this,
just because I'm going to push back on that because I can't. This is just a John Say pet peeve. I can't fucking stand it when people say sometimes comedy breaks through more than drama.
Oh,
when you're laughing the entire time, you take it seriously while you're in the theater, or you laugh while you're in the theater, and you think about it while you're in the theater, and then you walk away. And because there was so much lightness to it, your serious conversation, I just don't think it.
These are black comedies. You used to be an actor. You used to study this. Black comedies are the most truthful of all storytelling genres. You know this. This is not.
Saying, I don't know, man.
I want it to be a black comedy. I don't want it to be a lighthearted comedy. I want it to be a very black, dark, surreal comedy. And I think it would pack a deeper punch. I think that's the reason The Big Short works so well, is because it had these higher moments of comedy that this movie didn't have.
The best part in The Big Short is when,
by making us laugh, you made us listen. That's the Jon Stewart quote. Come on.
The best part of, I think one of the strongest parts of The Big Short, I know what you're saying. Like, you got to earn the serious moments, but
I guess you don't have to. But for
a story
that doesn't know its tone,
I think for a movie like this, where he is so obviously trying to say this is so serious that we need to be able to laugh about it, you can't be laughing most of the time. I think he was very intentionally trying to bounce back and forth so that people never got comfortable with it being a comedy. I don't think he wanted them to. And whether or not that worked for you, is a different story. But I guess, I don't know. I think I would have gotten way less out of this if I was mostly laughing at the disgusting sadness of the fact that we really would behave this way if things were happening.
I feel like it went a different way for me. I feel like there was some comedy there. There was some subtle comedy there as well that I really enjoyed. And there was like all these scenes that like it's like a train wreck. It's like watching, you're just going down, you can't take your eyes off it. And it's like, it just gets more and more ridiculous as you go. And then all of a sudden you get to that point of no return. You're like, and it dumps you straight into the drama and the solid dramatic performance at the end of it where there are no jokes. And it just says, yeah, you laughed your way to this.
There are still jokes though. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna push back on that even. Like when Mark Rylance says, when he just walks
John doesn't
out
want to have
of
a single friend by the end of this fucking podcast.
Come on. When Mark Rylance walks out of the mission control, drink. That's funny. Like I think the funniest moments in this were, look, there were a few funny, like when Jonah Hill's like, God, I timed my Molly perfect. When he was, when his Molly was kicking in.
Really funny.
There are funny moments like that, but no offense, but like, that's cheap humor to me. Like that could have taken place in any movie, a line like that.
No, I'm talking about like when they settle down to the dinner scene and stuff like that, where it just becomes about the people that are affected by the shenanigans that's just going on. Like
that's super dramatic, but it is intercut with other parts of the presidency and everything, the way they're handling it. I don't know. I guess I started to find myself laughing at the things that weren't obviously funny because it was a sick kind of laughter. I was like, oh my God, like the way people are reacting. It was like, I wasn't happy about the fact that I was laughing. And of course that's the classic, black comedy rule. You should be kind of like, I'm glad we're all laughing because this is fucked up. But this was a different kind of fucked up because it's so close to home. This isn't the 2008 financial crisis where, again, I really do think we needed a good movie like that to kind of help us access it, unless you're you're extremely financially literate and you read The Big Short and a lot of other books like that. But that also, in a way, the financial crash was so, the application of it was so far away from most people that even if they were directly affected by it financially, they didn't even really know it. It mostly affected the stock market and people that were very much on top. And then the trickle-down effects of it took place over years. We are now living in a time where climate change, it was fucking hotter in Alaska over the holiday than it was in Southern California. Yep. Hurricanes are getting more real. We're seeing cancer statistics around certain cities that live on the coast, around industrial areas that can't be ignored. The waves are coming bigger and bigger. Hurricane season's longer and longer. It's something that's so in our face.
A snowstorm put out a wildfire today.
I heard that too. Yeah, fucking crazy. It's so not funny anymore that I think he just I think he's smarter than I am. He very conscientiously said, if I make people laugh about this most of the time, I think that might be the rudest thing I can do for making subject matter like this. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to disagree with you.
No, I agree with what you said there. I just feel like it was a case of like there was a little point made to me personally when I was watching the film. It was like, yeah, you were laughing at all this stuff, but now look what's happened.
Oh, I agree with you, Dave. I'm disagreeing with our other host, Jeff.
Who? You can't just buzz me for disagreeing with me. I didn't say anything.
Yeah, we can.
What the fuck? I'm not even drinking beer because I have COVID. Get the fuck out. Or I think. I don't know.
No, I hear you, man. I understand. Again, when I was watching it too, of course, I was thinking this movie is not going to do it for everybody. It's just too specific to the way he tells stories.
Gonna bore people, yeah. I think let's talk about things about.
I think it's boring, man. I didn't think it was boring.
I think maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Tell me. I do want to ask you specifically. I made that comment, the rewatchability thing.
We don't have to keep taking this out.
No, come on. I'm curious. Let's try to make it more specific. What changed? You gave us the half thumbs up or the neutral thumb for the first time. I guess I would have gone thumbs up. What very specifically in the rewatch were you like, oh, that doesn't work at all, and I was just being nice?
I didn't hate it the second time because there still are funny things. There's still really good things. I like Mark Rylance. I like Cate Blanchett and Tyler Perry outperforming what was on the page, I guess, because their characters were intentionally on the nose, and I liked the life that they gave them. So shout out to them. I love Timothée Chalamet both times. Surprisingly, I thought he was great.
He was fantastic.
When he is telling Jennifer Lawrence, who doesn't want to talk to him, he's like, "You have to talk to us." He's got a picture of you on his fucking board, and this kid has a skateboard with her picture on it, and then he calls his friend. Really funny stuff. There's really, really good stuff.
So you wanted a comedy.
A lot of. You have to have a good story. I talked about this with Psycho. Like, it's not about a guy running a motel killing people. It's about a woman who hated her husband or boyfriend and was getting treated like shit at the job. So she stole money and she went on the run, and it was a thriller. She thought she was being followed. That's Psycho, not the stabber in the thing. Like, I don't want a comedy. I wanted this to be told in a certain way. And the tone was all over the place for me. Couldn't decide if it was going to be funny or not. And that's why I think that Jonah Hill was making these subtle things at the end, which didn't work for you. But I don't want him to be funnier. I wanted Leo and Jennifer Lawrence's characters to be funnier. And I think the actors wanted it too. Leo with his hyperventilating with the Xanax, hilarious, amazing. When he tells her, when she's reaching for the Xanax and he's like, no. But then like the scene where they're trying to tell the president, it was like a 10-minute long scene. When Mark Rylance does his first presentation, when he's with the Bash Life thing, and then it basically is like a monitor that sends you the right video or meme for your mood. Like if it finds out that you're sad, and then they also will send you a therapist. Like that stuff's really funny. And this is how the scene ends. And I shit you not, there's like a dog on a bunny or something, and it's a funny video. And Mark Rylance is laughing, and some girl goes, "Hey Peter, can I ask you something?" And he says, "No." And then the scene ends, but they don't even show Mark Rylance saying no, which would be funny. You're just looking at this girl's face and it's no. And I guess he's trying to make this point. Again, I know he has an answer to all of these things that I'm going to say. I guess he's trying to make the point, like, nobody gets input on this. We don't get a say. Like, maybe that's what he's saying, but like, I don't know. Have you seen Steve Jobs? Made me sad.
Have you seen the Steve Jobs movie?
I like Steve Jobs, yeah.
I feel like that was a little parallel there. Like, between him and his daughter.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to go through nitpicking this. I just think that it was. We know what the story was going to be. I think what I said about Leo and Jennifer Lawrence's stories, where Leo becomes Dr. Fauci, he becomes Anthony Fauci. What happens when all of a sudden a nobody who's important and smart and brilliant becomes a thought leader, somebody who's like has influence, and how does that affect you and how does that change you? That's an interesting story. But he couldn't go all in on that because the other things were too big. So you have Meryl Streep and you have her campaigning and all of the rallies. You have Jennifer Lawrence's story. So then Leo's little story here, it didn't land for me. So then Jennifer Lawrence's story where she goes home and her parents don't want her, which was totally short-shrifted. It's like, no, we want the jobs that the climate's fine. That was a little too rushed for me. That could have used more nuance, but we have too many things going on. So now all of a sudden she's working at a gas station.
That one I'll give you.
And I was like, okay, well... And then I felt like there was too much scattering going on.
But then there wouldn't have been a Timothée Chalamet.
You're right. Timothée Chalamet saved that story.
They were like, how do we get Timothée Chalamet in this movie?
I'm not saying this movie is a zero. I'm saying somewhere around the midline is probably about where it is. I think it's very important. I love the subject matter. I just think the story could have been better. And the tone. I would have preferred. I know you like the tone. It didn't land for me.
All right, we're arguing in circles.
I don't want to shit on this movie anymore. We're fucking positive podcast.
Did you have a favorite performance?
I think it's Timmy for me, but I don't know. Leo's
serious too. Come on, he has like Leo 4 minutes Lawrence, in this movie. You're going to give it to
Leo
Timothée
and Jennifer
Chalamet?
Lawrence were working. They were working so hard. They wanted it so bad. They really wanted this. MarkyRy lands.
There you go.
No, Meryl Streep was great too.
Meryl Streep, come on! Oh, we're going to sleep on her. Yeah, she was probably the least obviously like. I think she just sunk into it so easily that it was kind of like. I know she's not like movies aren't made the way they are anymore. Meryl Streep didn't sell this movie. I don't think anyone watched this movie because Meryl Streep was in it. But she's just still one of the greatest of all time. That was pretty crazy watching her just very casually take on that role. I don't know. I think it was an interesting choice cinematographically to not film them closer. I noticed that his camera stuff was still, he obviously, anyone who knows just from watching these things you can tell, but you can definitely tell in The Big Short and his earlier movies he likes to film with multiple cameras. He likes handheld. He likes moving around. Well, he didn't want to do that this time. Right. So he still had his improvisational stuff, but they were on sticks, they were on cranes, they were on steadies. They were doing things differently in this movie to try to have a little bit more of a dramatic tone. And I thought it was interesting that while choosing to do that big picture, he didn't come in as close as often as I thought he would, which is a very typical way that you're going to try to cover more dramatic filmmaking styles. At some point, you're going to juxtapose between wider view storytelling and close-ups. It's just a very typical way that we do these things. And I thought it was interesting that he stayed a lot of times in wider mediums, which is where comedy lives.
Yeah.
So part of me was wondering if the way he covered this shortchanged himself a little bit. Because if he had gone in closer, just a little bit more, sometime, I'm not going to say exactly when. I don't remember that well, but I do remember thinking I kind of kept feeling myself. I was kind of scooting a little bit closer on the chair. There were some times that I just wanted to be a little bit more intimate with, Leo, Jennifer Lawrence. I kind of felt a little bit of a distance from them, and I'm curious if some of this stuff would have worked itself out if he would have leaned into that or pulled back and let us sit back and not even tried to make us think that we're supposed to come in close to them. I don't know, Dave, did you feel that at all when you were thinking about the cinematography?
A little bit. Like there were times, like particularly towards the end of the movie, where he pushed in a lot, but it was definitely wide for certainly in like Oval Office and all those sort of scenes. It was, definitely right back. And I think because that's where like the more I think the more chaotic it was, the more back it got.
Yeah, which is sometimes, again, there are times for that, sure. But in terms of like juxtaposition between like, look at the mess of this chaos, and then you just go right in and you make it really specific with a character, Jeff, which maybe you're right. He wasn't, maybe there were times where they weren't thinking about what's happening to this person. Will that speak to what's happening around them? Maybe it was things like that. But Dave, you nailed it when you said it earlier. The effect, the emotional effect and storytelling effect that they achieved by the way they covered the dinner table scene at the end versus the madness and the wide shots and Mission Control was very, I know it's not Apollo 13. I know it wasn't that sincere kind of movie, but I was invested. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get back to the dinner table because they are holding hands. The room is lit completely differently. They're talking to each other about nothing that really matters with story. It's just characters trying to bond. So I don't know. I was a little curious about that. I'm wondering if he chose very consciously to try to make this movie feel different by not being handheld all the time, while also trying to stay far enough away in case somebody did something funny. Which I could see Adam McKay kind of being in that place, like, well, what if I have a funny idea and I tell him to say this line?
There is one story where they spent an entire day, apparently, and that might be a slight exaggeration, but they spent an entire day with Jonah Hill just insulting Jennifer Lawrence. in different ways.
Ridiculous.
So that was that was according to her, that was a day of filming.
Set.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had a great time on set. That did not land for me. I'm glad you thought that moment was funny, Jeff, with the hood on the head and stuff. But every time Jonah Hill made a joke like that, I was like, somebody write him some lines. He's a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
And there is a different movie where he's supposed to improv that much.
Oh my God. And one of the characters is underwritten. I'm so glad you're admitting that.
It's called 21 Jump Street. Fucking hilarious. Those are the movies he needs to just be riffing for a day while they filmed this on film, by the way. So fuck you, Jonah Hill. I can't believe they let him riff for a fucking day while they were filming on celluloid.
A day's worth of Kodak Vision 3 that they just like threw in the bin, basically.
But I'm not glad. I wanted a little bit more, not Moneyball, not Jonah Hill Moneyball. He's serious in that one, but something a little bit more structured, not necessarily scripted, but a little more structured. I felt like every time we cut to him, it was just improv. And I kind of started to lose interest in his character because he wasn't moving the story forward at all. It was just comic relief. And every time he talked, I felt like they were taking something away from Meryl Streep's president.
That's fair.
Which, I don't know, I wasn't like passionately against it. He still made me laugh, but I couldn't stop thinking like, are they going to they should write some lines for him that move the story and the character forward just so we'll know who he is. Although I will say I loved his prayer for stuff. Come on, that was good. Yeah. I think they may have written that because that was pretty great.
That was written. That was funny.
Dope apartments and sick watches. Like, come on, man, that was pretty good.
Also, I like when he calls them all like fucking rednecks when they all start turning on him.
fucking
rednecks. Oh God, there's a lot of good stuff. This is great. I don't want to say shitty things about this movie anymore. I want to talk about funny things or fun things. I thought it was great.
Yeah, man. Let's keep talking about. I think we've missed a few people that we should talk about. How about? Goodness.
How about
what
this?
is
How
his
about the
name?
Supreme? So the reason that the reason that they can't get a meeting right away with Meryl Streep, the president, they're literally sitting in right outside the Oval Office. It's because a Supreme Court nominee has a problem, very Kavanaugh-esque, right? And the Supreme Court, the nominee's issue is that he was in a softcore porn on cable TV, and they go through with the nomination. Like that's really good. They're basically really like, "Fuck you, everybody. We're gonna get through this cowboy hat wearing Supreme Court nominee who did softcore porn." Like it's so. All right,
I'm gonna ask this question rhetorically because I feel like we can't avoid it.
Do you hate when I mention funny things on this?
No. It's a good point, but I am going to ask you, and I'm not expecting you to literally have an answer, but like, can you imagine being a director like Adam McKay and thinking like, I know how to write comedies. Like before the Trump era, that would have been a joke. Yeah. But it's not a joke anymore. Like, what do you do when you can't write this shit? Every day of the Trump administration, comedy writers everywhere were like, I could not have written that. Like, no one would have believed it was even relative.
Let's say The Big Short was not a satire. It was very realistic, like almost documentary style. Let's say it's not a satire. What's the last great satire that you've seen? Film, not TV show, not skit. Like what was the last great satire film? It's so hard to do. The ones that last are like Network and Doctor Strangelove, which could never have worked for this because they don't talk about the issue.
You know what? I promise I won't only quote their interview, but Adam McKay said that when he was talking to Barry Jenkins was like, did you watch anything to prepare for this? And he said, The Usual Suspects, predominantly those two movies. And he said to Barry Jenkins, he was like, you know what I realized when we were researching this? They really haven't made that many movies about this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like there are a lot of the fun action, more action-y kind of apocalypse movies, but the really very specific end of day satire or at least commentary on the decline of society kind of satire, there really aren't that many movies.
Yeah.
So I mean,
do you count the Edgar Wright movies? I guess they're not because they're all fiction. They're like very, very fiction, and they don't I don't know if any of them would count.
I don't think so. I think those are first of all, they're Edgar Wright movies, so they're Edgar Wright movies. But I mean, what are we talking about? Like the End of the World? Help me out. What's the bar one? What's the bar one? World's End.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Hot Fuzz is the closest to genre
film, though. They were so rooted in genre. That he's subverting that very specific kind of genre. So I don't know if I would call them satire.
No, I wouldn't either. I was just trying to
No, I know what you mean.
I was trying to come close. We live in for SNL. We basically say satire is an SNL thing, and then we move on.
Which Adam McKay,
a lot of TV shows
was the head writer for a lot of the late 90s, right? So let's at least, because I'm not coming after you, Jeff, but let's at least give it up to...
Really? 50 minutes in. I don't know
if
everybody would agree.
Go fuck you. Let's at least give it up for him trying to do it. It's very difficult.
This movie is so important. I said that very early on. This movie is very, very important. I hope people do see it one time and don't rewatch it.
That's what I think. And don't rewatch it. Jesus Christ. Dave, what do you think, dude? Am I being a dick? Am I? I don't know. Aha, Jeff.
Come on. What about? How funny was it? And Ariana Grande still has some acting work to do before she plays Glinda. God. But how funny.
Oh my God, is that happening?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cynthia Erivo was a great choice. And then Ariana, we'll see. She came from Broadway.
This is a positive film podcast. You guys don't make me.
I saw Hairspray live, so she's, anyway. But how funny was it when she is trying to get back Kid Cudi, who's playing her boyfriend on national TV, Cate Blanchett's character and Tyler Perry's character. And she's like, can I talk? I just want to talk directly to Chad. Chad is his name? Shit, I can't remember his name. Chill? Some weird name. And she looks right at camera and she's like, after many sleepless nights, 3, I've decided I want to take you back. It's like really fucking funny.
That could have been funny. You're really right, Jeff.
Funny.
That could have been funny.
You don't think that was funny? I thought that was funny.
The writing was pretty good.
Just not for Jonah Hill's character. Okay.
How about this though? I will give it up to her for this. She might
get in there. What did you find funny? Come on.
She might win Best Song, you guys. That song was catchy.
It's a funny song.
She's going to sing that at the Academy Awards. She might win Best Song.
I hope she does. Yeah.
I wanted to hear the end of it. I like that cut,
something
though.
like that since Blame Canada.
Honestly, yes. Yeah, good call, dude. Well done.
I also like that the movie's called Don't Look Up, but the song is called Just Look Up. I like that. I don't know why I like it.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that directly. Not that we spend tons of time on it, but the evolution in that sequence, which was half montage, I guess it was mostly montage, but when they really start nailing home the fight of the movements, look up, don't look up, I thought that was extremely well done. I thought the cutting of it was really effective. They got the point across in like less than 6 minutes. Like we were totally on board with how much energy had been put politically into both sides of this. The left, DiCaprio and Oglethorpe, and what is his name, by the way? Rob Morgan. I thought he was good as Dr. Oglethorpe from the Planetary Defense Division that actually exists.
That really well done. That was very big short. The Planetary
Yeah.
Defense Coordination Office is a real place.
Is
This
a real
is their
place.
logo.
I thought that sequence was super efficient and effective. Like that could have been very indicative and not exciting because lock her up, all these things that we've heard before that are these play on words and stuff, but they got it across and I believed every fucking word. That one moment that I can't stop thinking about, it's just a tiny throwaway moment in the montage, is when Meryl Streep is walking around looking down on the stage, just like with her head down, taking these big steps. I was like, geez, he did shit like that.
Yes,
like,
we've seen that.
Again, I wasn't really laughing. I was like, oh my God, it was kind of gross. I had a little vomit in my throat through like the last half of this movie.
Yeah.
Man. Anyway, clearly I enjoyed this one.
Well, I think we've milked this.
You think so?
I think so.
I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Everybody should definitely watch it. Draw your own conclusion. And
you know what? Let's give ourselves, this is our first show back in the new year. This one's for all of us. All right. I don't know. It's not just for you, Dave. It's for everybody who's listened, for all the fans out there. You know what? We fucking made it through 2 fucking years of a pandemic. We are still here. We're still doing the fucking podcast. People are still seeing stuff. I cannot believe we're 2 years into this. People are still getting COVID, including my co-host. I just can't.
I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. If I did, it wasn't in a theater.
Well, guys, we just had a big break. We took a week off. What you been fucking watching? Let's wrap this motherfucker up. Did anybody see anything of note?
I feel like we've seen a lot.
We
have to decide what we can talk about and not. So, Dave, you go ahead.
I could fill a half hour with the shit I've been watching while I've been out of action.
Good for you, dude.
But I actually, do you remember when we did our Army of the Dead episode?
Sure.
Yeah. I watched the prequel film, Army of Thieves.
And
what?
Yeah,
there's a prequel to that?
Yeah, it was already written before they made Army of the Dead. It basically follows Dieter, the safecracker, and how he becomes who he is. And
are you saying they made this after Army of the Dead?
They made it after, but it's actually a prequel.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Army of Thieves, it's called. It's actually really good, and they don't use the same lenses they used for like Army of the Dead, so it's, in my opinion, a better film.
I remember you had a bunch of issues with that.
Yeah, this one looks nice and clean, and the guy who plays him is just phenomenal. It's a really good story. I like it.
Nice, dude. Prime.
It's
again,
cute and fun.
Like
No, that one's on Netflix.
Oh, Cool.
Should we
Anything
just
else?
list the other movies you want to see?
Yeah. What else have you seen, dude? I didn't
just
see
list
much.
them.
You
Just
guys,
throw them out there in case we want to review some of them.
Well, there was some. I caught some TV series. I started watching Killing Eve.
That's good.
Oh, it's supposed to be great. I haven't seen it.
So
yeah.
good.
We're 4 episodes in now. We're hooked.
Fucking chop away. It's so good.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you've ever seen it, but R.I.P.D.
No.
It's a Jeff Bridges, Ryan Reynolds film. He's basically a police officer who gets killed on duty and gets recruited by the Rest in Peace department, who goes and finds these people who don't pass on when they're dead. So they basically just hang around on Earth and cause fuckery. And
Is it a buddy cop movie?
It is. It's absolutely a buddy cop movie because Jeff Bridges is a lawman from the fucking 1800s. And so he's got the big moustache. He's got he loses his hat and he's pissed. And it's a really fun buddy cop movie. And it's a Dark Horse comic adaptation. And I could watch more of that. It was fun. It was good fun.
Excellent. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Jeff, anything?
I watched a lot too. My grad school ended right when you did the Spider-Man episode was good, guys, but it was really good. I didn't care about spoilers.
Did you watch it? Yeah.
No, I can't go to the theater. I finished grad school, went on a family trip, got COVID. I think I did. I don't know if I did or not, but I feel like I'm going to have to wait till I can rent it, unfortunately.
I think we had a good chat. I had enjoyed that chat.
It was great. You did a great job. Okay. I saw Lost Daughter. I saw Matrix. I'm halfway through The Power of the Dog, which I'll probably finish in the next 24 hours. I watched The Sex Lives of College Girls, which is a Mindy Kaling show on HBO Max. And I started Station 11. That might be it. And then I watched and then I watched the Harry Potter reunion thing. And I watched a documentary called Jesus Camp.
Are you saying you pressed play on a show titled The Sex Lives of College Girls because it's a Mindy Kaling project? Are you going on record saying that?
No, that was a happy accident.
recommended by my girlfriend because I watched the trailer and the trailer was cut like
funny.
Old people writing jokes for younger people, I thought. So I was like, okay, well, it's funny, but is it going to really feel like they're in college? Chloe watched the first episode, she's like, I think it's good. I think you're going to like it. And I was like, all right. So I watched it. And you know what? I liked it.
She's pretty
Timothée
talented.
Chalamet's sister is in that. She has a name herself, which is...
she has a name. Call her by her name, Jeff.
Funny.
Sorry, it was right there.
I think it's Pauline Chalamet. Shit. Now, fuck, I'm going to be pissed off.
How are...
I was right. Pauline Chalamet. She's great. Renee Rapp's in it.
Lost Daughter, Power of the Dog, 2 great movies I still need to see. They're definitely going to be nominated, right? Those are serious dramas for probably in contention.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away in case we end up talking about them on the pod, but I will say Olivia Colman, she really is one of the best actresses alive right now. And I don't know when, and this is not a comedy in any way, shape, or form. This is Maggie Gyllenhaal directed. It's based on a book that's pretty serious. And it's funny when a novel is adapted to a movie and there's not a lot of dialogue. There are a lot of scenes that are very subtextual where they don't say much. And I love that when they can adapt a novel and let the actors act. So I'll leave it at that. But Olivia Colman, man, really, wow, she's awesome.
That's awesome, dude. I really don't have anything to say because I was visiting with my girlfriend in a town with both of our families. So we were pulled in all directions the entire time. We only watched 2 movies. One of them was this, and one of them was a night we were supposed to watch The Matrix. And they were like, great, we're going to gear up. Let's watch all of them because some of them had not seen any of them. And I was like, oh boy, that's probably not going to be super great. And I was nervous to recommend Matrix Resurrections anyway because I hadn't seen it yet. And we weren't sure if it was going to be any good. So they ended up nixing that. And they were like, what should we watch? We want to watch something that's like a dystopian thrillery kind of thing. And I was like, Children of Men. So we watched Children of Men. And
good call.
Nice. Excellent rewatch.
Nice.
You'll understand when you see it, but if they've seen the first Matrix movie, they've pretty much already seen.
Yeah, I mean, I still do. I really do want to smoke a big spliff and watch that movie, but you are not alone. Everything you guys jokingly said to me before we press record, other people have said to me as well. So I don't know if I need to watch it, but I want to.
You should definitely watch it. There's 1 or 2 things in it that are great.
Okay. Yeah. Some sequences are good. They created a device where I feel like half the movie, but it's probably less, is Keanu Reeves watching clips of the first movie. I don't want to give it away. But they somehow figured out a device where Keanu Reeves' character Neo is watching himself in the first movie.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
Yeah. I was waiting for him to morph into like Nicolas Cage.
It's so funny. Okay, let's leave it. Let's end it there. People. I hope you enjoyed our back and forth discussion. It was very Mike and the Mad Dog for all my sports friends out there.
Hey, come on. I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad you opposed us because I know we are not alone. Hopefully we're a good representation of how
Dave
people
loves
feel.
it when we oppose each other too, because then we just go at it the whole time and Dave's like, fuck, come on.
I know. All right.
Well, again,
folks, check us out on Matt and Mark Movie Show. Give that show a listen. We're going to be on there for this week's show. I don't know when theirs comes out, but at some point before next Sunday. All right.
Making Habits.
Peace. Oh, God.